Welcome to the CredoLab Web SDK integration tutorial. Today, we'll guide you through the simple process of integrating the SDK into your React application. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have a fully integrated library ready to collect and upload data effortlessly. Let's get started. CredoLab SDK for Web is a JavaScript library that tracks and captures user behaviors and digital footprints on the web page. This information is uploaded to the CredoLab web service for future use as insights and fragments. The Web SDK contains two services corresponding to common async and common flows. The first, Credo App Service Async, is recommended and is designed to continuously upload collected user behavior data once tracking is initiated. This allows tracking to start on a desktop web browser and continue on mobile devices, keeping the behavioral data under the same reference number associated with a user session. In other words, this service is cross-browser. The second service persists collected data in the browser and uploads only once when the user completes the entire application flow. Let's take a look at the integration process over the next few minutes. We are going to create the React project from scratch and integrate SDK into it. Once the project is created, we jump into the root project folder, create npm-rc file, and go to the documentation docs.credolab.com. Select Web SDK integration page and go to the Declare Dependencies section. Copy the content for the npm-rc file and go back to the project. Paste copied path to the private registry. Please update the token variable with the value provided by CredoLab team. Go to the documentation and copy SDK dependency. Open the web page to check the latest SDK version. Go back to the project and paste Credo App dependency. Then replace XYZ with the actual version and execute command. The SDK has been successfully added. We will start tracking using the Credo App Service Async class, as it is the recommended flow, and walk through all the steps needed to begin and complete the tracking process. First, we'll create a service that contains SDK functionality. We'll pass the instance of service from a parent component to a child component. Let's import Credo App Service Async and Credo App exception types. Next, declare Credo App SDK service class. Instantiate the Credo App service field. The constructor of this class accepts two parameters. The first parameter is the URL of the CredoLab server. The second parameter is the API key used for authentication. Please contact the CredoLab team to obtain the actual values for both parameters. Let's add the function for the start tracking action. This method simply wraps and delegates the action to the instance of the Credo App service created earlier. This method is designed to begin tracking user behavior data and continuously upload it to the CredoLab web server. It accepts a reference number, which is a unique identifier associated with the data and must be linked to the user. Next, we will add a method to complete the data collection process. This method should only be called if tracking is currently in progress, otherwise, an error will be returned. If the method finishes successfully, the data uploaded to the CredoLab server will be marked as complete. This allows insights to be requested using the reference number from this tracking session. We have to export this class to import it in components. Now, let's open the app component class that serves as the root component of the application. Remove auto-generated code and add child component that we are going to create below. This component will contain a submit function that will be triggered when the button is clicked. Let's add a simple layout and declare submit function. Next, let's import the Credo App SDK service that we'll use within the app. Now, create a context that will be used for passing the service down through a component tree. Instantiate SDK service. Obtain the created service by using useContextHook. Let's declare the start tracking function. Within this function, we will call the service to initiate the data collection process. The function accepts the reference number parameter. Additionally, we wrap the service call in a try-catch block to handle any potential errors. Let's start the tracking process by passing the function to useEffectHook. As mentioned earlier, we need to pass the reference number associated with the user and collected data, ensuring it remains the same throughout the entire user flow until the complete method is called. This value can be stored on the server side, allowing retrieval if the user switches browsers to continue filling out the application form. Next, we will update the application form component where we are going to complete the tracking process. We are getting the instance of service by using useContextHook, and update the submit function by adding the call stops tracking incomplete function of service. Clicking this button will stop and complete the tracking process. Let's add alert functions for debugging purposes, and we are ready to start the application in the browser and see SDK in action. Let's start our app by executing npm start command. Once a page is opened, the tracking process is initiated. We can reload the page to be sure that there are no errors and the tracking process starts again. Let's click by Submit button to complete the tracking process. We see that the tracking process has been successfully completed, and from this moment, we can request insights on this data using the reference number assigned to this tracking session. Let's reload the page. At the moment, an error occurs indicating that tracking has not started due to a non-unique reference number. Let's click on the Submit button, and we get an error as well because tracking has not started yet. Let's see how we can handle this error in the code. Open the app component and navigate to the Start Tracking method. In the catch block, we observe that the error contains a code and a message. As previously noted, the message indicated that the reference number was non-unique, with the corresponding code for 1. Open CredoAppService class and update the Start Tracking method considering handling an error with the 41 code. In the pasted code, we wrap the Start Tracking async function of the CredoAppService instance with the try-catch block. In case of an error, we check its code, and if the code equals 41, we generate a new reference number and start tracking again. Please remember that this number must be linked to a user. You may generate it on the back-end side instead of the client side. For additional error codes, please refer to the CredoLab documentation. We have successfully integrated the CredoAppService async, which continuously uploads collected data to the CredoLab server and is more flexible than the non-async flow. As was mentioned, the async flow is recommended for use. Next, we will explore the steps needed to integrate the non-async CredoAppService. We need to update the import declaration. Remove async keyboards. Update functions naming. Remove the function parameter and return type. Remove error handling. Just call the Start Tracking function. We also need to add a reference number to stop tracking and complete the function. Let's add error handling for the error related to a reference number that we have previously encountered in the body of the Start Tracking function. Let's go to the app component to update the Start Tracking call by removing the reference number, async and await keyboards. Next, update complete tracking function. We have to add a reference number. These are all necessary changes. The app is now ready to start using the non-async CredoAppService. For successful integration, we strongly recommend assigning the ID attribute for HTML elements to emphasize a specific logical control that holds significance within the user flow of your app. It is essential for maximizing the effectiveness of integrating SDK into your application. Descriptive IDs allow differentiating user interactions with various UI elements and provides a clear picture of user behavior. Let's go to the return JSX value of the application form component and add relevant IDs to the elements. By making this a standard practice, you ensure that SDK integration is effective and beneficial. This is all for now. If you have any questions or need further assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to our team.